Good evening, everyone. It's Thursday, September 15th. This is Dr. Dan Malkarski with ifundtraders, and I'm going to do a study chart lesson with you for the RIMM earnings report that we traded after market. Okay, so this was a post-market earnings trade, and I just want to set the stage here. This was the close. You can see here right at 4 o'clock. I had already traded RIMM during the day. All right, I had three symbols traded today, up around $3,700 for the day, and we're going to take a little bit of this and put it to work and see if we can beef up the P&L for the day trading RIMM after the announcement. So all positions are flat. There is no trade on RIMM at the moment, and I do not like to hold into the earnings report. I like to go flat and then trade the reaction after the announcement is made. Okay, so here's where we are at just a little after 4, and now I'm going to walk you through the trade. Okay, now I did this trade on the 1-minute chart, and I'm going to walk through the trade with you on the 1-minute chart as it unfolded. So you can see here was the close at 4. A little bit of back and forth noise, waiting for the number, and then the trade gets underway. But as I was getting ready for this, I started analyzing this about 3:45, taking a look at a couple of things I want to share with you. One is I always like to look at the daily and hourly charts, find out where my nearest major support and resistance are, big strong pivot points, and then I like to look at the options, calls and puts for the at the money strike near month expiration, and I'll tell you what I do with both of those things. Let's start with this hourly chart. What you should notice right away is there is a very clear consolidation right here, all right, over the last week or so. So here's your upside, all right, and then here's the downside. And if you look to the left, this downside actually extends all the way over here to this prior pivot low. Now, my traders know I talk a lot about whole numbers being natural support and resistance. The low of this pivot was 29 even. The low of this retest right here, I believe, was 29.11. This low was 29.08. This low was again 29 even. So $29 has had an extremely strong support level over the last 2 weeks of trading. You see on the upside, this range consolidated just under, right around 30.50, maybe a little bit above. Didn't quite get to 31. And then you see the big strong pivot up there near 32 and a quarter, 32.50, whatever that high happened to be. So when I look at a consolidation like this, if it were to break above the high or below the low of the base, you can look for a projection of the base on top of the nearest support and resistance. Now, there is no other prior pivot low here until you go back to the daily chart, and there's one way down there at 22.50. So what I mean by projecting the base is this. If we take a look at the length of this base from left to right, okay, it's about this long as I go left to right. So what I want to do is then project this distance both up and down in case there's a breakout or a breakdown of the consolidation. So if I were to take that same distance, let's do it this way. If I were to take this distance here, all right, and then I was going to take that arrow and I was going to stand it straight up in the air. And this is going to be an approximate, guys. So we're going to go from here and spin that thing straight up in the air, all right? And then again, I want to take it from here, all right, on the bottom, go this distance, and then I want to spin it straight down. Okay, about the same amount. So I'm literally projecting the length of the base both up and down. All right. Again, these are estimates. When I looked at this earlier, I was a little cleaner with my measurements. This is, this gave me about a, $4 move to the upside is about what I estimated, right? So that's how you project the base. Now, the options thing, you just have to look up. And as we went into the close, there was options for $29 and options for $30. RIMM closed right in the middle. Looking at the at-the-money straddle, how much does it cost me to buy the straddle, the call and the put, those premiums together should give you an idea about how much of a move it takes to put that money into profitability. In other words, what is the break-even move? And the call and the put for the 29s and the 30s, if you added those premiums together, it also projected about a $4 premium. So I have two things telling me to look for, a $4, $5 move. The other thing is, where is the daily chart? Well, the last gap down on RIMM was at what? $35 is where the last earnings gap down from. The low of the recent pivot was 22.50-ish, somewhere down there. So if I go up from the top of this base at 30.50, $4 to $5 fills that gap. If I go down $4 to $5 from the low here at 29, I get down to 25, 24 bucks just ahead of that daily pivot. All right. So those are the two things that gave me an idea about how much of a range we might see if the earnings provided a spark and we got some action. All right, so let's start the trade here. Waiting for the number. You can see the little bit of noise here from 4 to, I forget if it was 15, 16 minutes after or whatever, but a bunch of little ticks back and forth. Then the release finally comes out, and in the first spike after the number, RIMM takes off to the upside. This is a 1-minute chart, remember. Takes off to the upside, nice big green bar, hits the whole number, and then collapses on itself. All right, so rallies a buck and then instantly falls. But the 1-minute period is not over. It's still trading. Now remember, we said that 29, I drew this big line here. 29 was that really strong support on the hourly. Remember, pivot low here, here, and here. So if this attempt to break out, right, hits 31, so look what it does. It comes just above the hourly base, right? Here's 31 right here. It pokes its head just above the base and collapses. So we have a first attempt at a breakout that fails miserably. So now we're getting ready for the possible breakdown of the base, right? So the breakout just ticks its head above 31, boom, doesn't go anywhere. Now my traders know that we don't buy that anyway. We wait for the second one. Now if we're going to come down and we're going to fade that initial spike, I'm going to look to short on a break of the base. So on a break of 29, I'm looking to short, right? So this is still the 1-minute bar, forming a beautiful topping tail. Now we're starting to put in a nice red bar. We're about to go through 29, and I'm getting ready to just start hitting the bids. I'm not trying to get cute with the stop entry. I'm not doing market orders, just basic alt threes, which the keys we use to simply hit the bids. So as I'm going through 29, I'm sure there's going to be some slippage, but I'm just trying to get filled as best I can on the way down. So it triggers, breaks 29, get the first part of the position on, break even stop. Okay, not a stop over high of the day. Once I got these orders filled and this thing continued down, and look, next whole number here at 28 punches through that and then starts to come back. So my initial fills are in, and I got a break even stop right now after the first minute. So if I'm wrong and this is not a breakdown, because remember, we're just through the base. So if we start snapping back up, it's a failed breakdown just like it was a failed breakout, and I'm going to go back to flat. But if I can continue from here and follow this igniting bar down, I'm simply going to short the low of this bar. And when I do that, my new average price becomes the new stop. Okay? All right, so we break the low, short again, beautiful follow through, nice wide bar. Now my average price becomes the stop, and I'm also going to put a mental stop above the high of this bar. And fortunately for me, my average price, I was not too aggressive on the trade. My average cost is above the high of this bar, so I have a little bit of wiggle room, have a nice full position, and still have room to get stopped out without incurring the loss. So I'm in good shape, and now we're going to look for the bar-by-bar trail. And remember earlier we said a $4 to $5 move would be great. So as we break 29 and we're falling here, we got to look to the right and realize we're approaching 27, almost to $26 already. So this is a nice strong move. Okay, another bar of follow through, and then we get this beautiful 4-bar drop, and look where we hit. Next whole number 26. Okay, beautiful target. Take some profit. All right, I took a third of this trade off on the drop to 26. Now I'm going to use a bar by bar trail, and I want to use the 8MA, but it's got to be close enough, and it has to be past my cost. If the 8MA is not past my cost, I can't use it because that gives up a losing trade. So I can't really go to the 8MA yet. I got to go bar by bar. So I'm looking bar by bar, and also where am I going to tighten the whole thing up in case it starts to rally, because this was a big extended move. So I'm going to use this bar's high, which actually lines up right around that whole number. So always try to find two things to overlap. So 27 becomes the new trail stop for the whole position, but bar by bar for half of what's remaining, since I took some off here at the whole number 26. Okay? All right. Now, when this green bar forms, okay, when this green bar forms, that's the first sign of a reversal. So now the stop is above this green bar's high for my bar by bar, and still at 27 for the whole trade, because again, the 8MA is too far away. All right? Okay, so there's the bar by bar stop. You see how it hit? took out the high, take half of what's left off the trade, still can't use the 8MA, still sitting on 27 for the remainder of the stop. Okay, so now stock's gone sideways a little bit. Remember, 1 minute bar, so it's only 5 minute period. And look what's happened. This pivot survived, and the 8MA has now caught up. So I feel comfortable saying, yes, the clear-cut stop is over this pivot. We're using 27, but if the stock can break down and give us another move, we're going to short under 26, right? Here's the next whole number. We're going to short a break of 26, and then we're going to let the 8MA take us for the next ride down if we can get the breakdown, right? So stocks retesting. Here's a break of 26. We add to the short the amount that I took off on the bar by bar. I'm going to re-short as long as it does not bring my price, my average cost cannot be brought under 27. So I can only re-short to bring the cost down as long as that cost stays above 27. All I've done is lock a break even on the rest of the trade, but added back and got my shares up again. So if there is a continuation, I'm now riding back towards a full position. Okay, so now we're short, and the 8MA's got us, and we're just going to follow the same rules: bar by bar, 8MA, and look for some targets. All right. Now right here, this bar got ticked over real quick, and I did start covering some, but it immediately fell, so I stopped and just let it keep going from here. And guys, when you're dealing with 1 minute charts, you do get some noise, and it is aftermarket, so things can get jumpy. So this started, little head fake, that's okay. Took some off, did not add it back, just let it go at that point. Got a nice clean follow through here, and now we're starting to look. We're starting to get a lot of bars, getting the biggest bar we've seen on this second drop, and we're getting away from the 8 and the 20. So it's time to tighten up the trail a little bit. So now we're going to do what? Well, bar by bar, 8MA, right? That's the mode that we're in. $25 is the whole number, okay? If this bar gets reversed and we come back up over $25, I'm taking a piece off. Even if it's not the high of the bar, I am now using the whole number, support and resistance. So we broke through. If we can collapse, great. If not, first sign of strength back over 25, that's the next cover. Let the 8MA do its thing. All right. Now here's your little bar by bar, and look, 25 is a lock, and the 8MA holds. So it just worked out well, where once it got down there, it just kept going sideways. Now I got 25 as the number. And beautiful. One more little drift down, 24.02. I covered a bunch at 24.02. Actually, Jay Fry called me on the phone, said, you got to be loving this. And I said, actually, I'm holding a little bit, looking for 24. And he started laughing. Called me right in here somewhere. I said, I think we're going to get one more little bleed. Then he sent me a text saying, OMG, just hit 24. So at this point, I got most of the trade out the door, and I'm just letting the 8MA do its thing. Here comes the bar by bar. And then that was a bad tick, and then it breaks the 8. So at this point, the trade's over. We're done. Now look what happens, guys. Market Law 4 starts to show up, and that's why I didn't want to take any more trades and just thought it was a good day. Pivot low 1, pivot low 2, pivot low 3, higher low trying to form. If this puts in the higher low, then what? This pivot I should break, and that looks like the end of the down move. So that was the end of the trade. So we got flat just about at a perfect time, caught a little bit of a piece near the actual bottom. Sometimes you get lucky, right? But they say luck is the residue of skill. But the trade from a straightforward bar by bar, igniting bar, short the whole numbers, add and reduce in here, bring a stop down, trail it out. I mean, this is just a straightforward trade, worked very nicely. Okay, so let me show you the end result of this. Okay, so here's the end result. Remember, we had RIMM was a little over 1,300 going into 4 o'clock, and we ended up just shy of $8,000 for the total, so almost a $7,000 trade. Pretty good trade. Last note, guys, I know I did this on the 1 minute, and I do recommend with new traders they don't get on that time frame. They simply stay with a 5 minute. If you look at the 5 minute chart here, it would have been a pretty straightforward play for you. Igniting bar, failed breakout, igniting bar, but you can't short the low and stop the high because it's too big. But play the ignored bar. I know it's not red, it's red, not green, but this is basically a GBI inside the bottom of an igniting bar. So short the low, break a 26, same play here. My second entry, the first one, short the low, stop the high, bar by bar all the way to here, bad tick, but you still get stopped out, and then trail the 8. This was really just one simple entry with 2 exits on a 5 minute. Okay? All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.